Happy November. We're here on Election Day. What a fun day. So, we have a lot of robust news for you. Some of it is about how to handle stress. And I can imagine that maybe some people are feeling a little stressful today. So, before we get to all those awareness topics, I want to share a little bit about what's going on here at the NAMI office. So, where is it at? There we go. So we have some things coming up. First, we have a 2-day wrap workshop that's coming up this week. Sherry is going to talk a little bit about that because I hear she's going to be there. Then we have a family wellness workshop that we are leading this weekend and next weekend. We only have a very few spots open for that. So if you're interested, get on the list soon. Next up, we have Cookies and Canvas, and we would love to have you join us. We are doing some pebble art, so that's where you paint the background of the canvas, and then you have some pebbles on the front of it, and we are excited to host that next week. If you have a kiddo that you would like to join us, we are going to have ages 12 and up able to join us. Last but not least, we have Chip and Day coming up. That is a volunteer opportunity for people to come and volunteer at our office. So I am going to take that off and we're going to flip it over to, I don't even know who's next. We really kind of had some fun stuff when we first started our live. So if you were there for that, I apologize. But anyway, we're going to turn the tides over to, I think Courtney's up next. Is it Courtney? No, it's Bree. Bree gets to come on. Hey, Bree, it's me. I don't know what is going on. It went live with supposed to. What happened?
Cool.
It's been live longer than what we knew. So Bree is going to talk to us about Native American Heritage Month and the reasons why we're talking about that. But before we get to that, I have a question for you.
Oh, fun.
So we're getting into the holiday season, which can be stressful. And I know that today we are talking about Stress Awareness Day. What are some things that you do to help you feel a little bit more prepared for the holidays? So if you don't have an answer, I can give my answer.
So in relation to like holidays and things like that, my family used to be the ones that hosted Thanksgiving. Since we only host Christmas Eve now for my mom's side of the family. But for Thanksgiving and Christmas, we divvy up like who's bringing certain dishes. And so for whoever's hosting, that's when we try to relieve some of the stress. Like usually the host house will do like the main dish and then everyone else will contribute some other sides, desserts, and things like that to try and kind of alleviate some of the stress of, trying to make all of the food and welcome everyone into your home.
That's fun. That's fun. Some things that I do at my house, or to help me, I plan things out, like on a calendar. So I know who's coming up, like who's, as in which holiday is coming up and where we're celebrating. And make lists because I have to be something. I don't know. It's just things can feel all over the place and very wild during the holidays.
Yes.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
so thank you for your input. I look forward to hearing a little bit more about what you have to share about Native American Heritage Month. I wanted to make sure I got all the words in there.
Yeah, it's all good. We're doing great. So this month is Native American Heritage Month, which is a time to honor the richness and diversity of Indigenous cultures and traditions and take time to acknowledge the significant contributions of Native Americans. It's also a time to raise awareness about the challenges Native American communities are facing and the ways they've used traditional practices, beliefs, and culture to kind of overcome these challenges. Part of raising awareness is acknowledging the impact of suicide on Native Americans. In the United States, as of 2022, Native American men had the highest rates of suicide. Now, our data on suicide losses and attempts is continuously about a year off. We're kind of often playing catch up on trying to gather all of that data, but it's been a pretty consistent trend over the last couple of years that that's the case. Some of the risk factors for this population in particular can include isolation, access to resources, and access to culturally competent care. One thing that's come about, I want to say in the last 2 years, is the Native and Strong Lifeline, or NSLL, which is the nation's first 988 crisis line that's designed by and for Indigenous people in Washington state. It's operated by Volunteers of America Western Washington, and the NSLL has received over 4,150 calls since its launch in November 2022. The NSLL is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. There are about 23 call volunteers now, I think. I think it used to be 11, and now it's up to 23. And they serve any tribally affiliated person that's calling with a Washington area code. But out-of-state callers receive help and referrals to crisis resources in their area. The NSLL also serves family members of those in crisis, social workers, healthcare providers, and other concerned individuals. So it's a great resource. Hopefully they'll be able to kind of expand into other areas, and we'll be able to see it expand a little bit more out of Washington. Back to you, Jessica.
So sorry. That was a delay. All right. Thanks so much, Bree. I really appreciate you talking honestly about this very important topic for this population that with this needed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy to help.
Words are difficult today. I appreciate it.
We're doing our best.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Early Childhood Mental Health Awareness Month. That is in November, not to be confused with our Child's Mental Health Awareness Month in May. So the reason we focus a little bit more in November on Early Childhood Mental Health Awareness Month is because these are the foundational years for learning how to manage and express their emotions. They usually learn by watching others and seeing what the adults around them do. They're learning how to form those close relationships and learning how to interact with other people. And so we focus on infants and preschoolers and their emotional and social development so they can be better connected with the world around them. Some of the things that parents can be mindful of and pay attention for are how they get along with others. So siblings, parents, other peers, like if they're in a daycare setting or in other childcare settings, how they handle a change of routine. So if they're sick one day and they can't go to their typical place that they go to, or if mom or dad's sick and they stay home, or a change in routine on the weekend instead of how it usually is Monday through Friday. If there's concerns for their development, like their speech or their walking or their gross motor or fine motor development, and all of these things are kind of screened by the pediatrician. And so it's important to maintain those well visits. And so the pediatrician can help keep a handle on all of these things to be mindful of and pay attention for. And if there's ever a concern as a parent or as a child care provider, talk to the parent first. We talk about how to approach some of those topics with the parents in some of our other programs. But if you are the parent, how to engage in that conversation with your child's primary care physician, so their pediatrician or their family care doctor, and what the next steps might look like. And so how they do some of those assessments and give them the appropriate supports that they need if they are struggling. We know that 17% of kiddos will be diagnosed if it's an anxiety disorder, will be diagnosed by their 8th birthday. And so being mindful that this is something that could be a possibility for children, and knowing what to look for and knowing how to connect them to the appropriate supports. And so always starting with that primary care physician is what we talk about. So I don't think there's anything else for me to talk about Early Childhood Mental Health Awareness Month. I am going to bring Courtney on, make sure she's ready, give her a little bit of a warning. Bring Courtney on, and she is going to talk about Survivors of Suicide Loss Day. That's coming up this month, isn't it?
Yes, it is coming up at the end of this month.
That's fun. We not as a fun topic, but that is I'm glad that we acknowledge it, and it's fun that we do something to acknowledge it. I wanted to ask you a more fun topic before we talk about that, and I've lost, my whole screen is going wonky. Before the holidays start, because we are in November and we're talking about Stress Awareness Day. What are some things that you do to prepare for the holiday season?
So typically, some things I do, I practice a lot of self-care. It's a lot of peopling around the holiday season, so I make sure I take some time for myself, incorporate some of that into my schedule. My husband and I also have a nice little dry erase calendar, so it keeps us nice and organized of where we're going when, and if I need to make food for something or buying gifts, we keep a nice little list of ongoing gifts for relatives. This year's holiday season for us looks a little bit different because we're expecting a child in December. So I'll have to figure out some new ways to kind of incorporate that, ways to relax during the holiday season. So this year's probably going to look a little different, but we're excited.
Yeah, that is exciting. Well, I am looking forward to hearing some of the things that we're doing here at the office. Thank you for putting up the crisis text line and the suicide prevention lifeline and our local crisis number. So I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about what you have to share about how we're acknowledging Survivors of Suicide Loss Day. Thanks, Courtney.
Yeah, absolutely. So International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day. This is an event in which survivors of suicide loss come together to find connection, understanding, and hope through their shared experiences. And survivors of suicide loss, these are individuals who have lost a loved one to suicide. This year, it is going to be observed on Saturday, November 23rd. It actually started in 1999. Senator Harry Reid, who lost his father to suicide, introduced a resolution to the U.S. Senate, leading to the creation of International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day. It's also known as Survivor Day. This day was designated again by U.S. Congress as a day in which those affected by suicide can join together for healing and support. And it was determined that this day would fall on this Saturday before Thanksgiving in the U.S. Because holidays are often a difficult time, especially for individuals who have lost a loved one to suicide. There are many ways that you can participate in Survivors of Suicide Loss Day, and you can find a meaningful way to find support and healing. So some different ways that you can get involved. You can attend an event. There's a lot of different events that happen locally in our community and in neighboring communities. So you can join that virtually or in person, and you can search for that on American Foundation Suicide Prevention. I'll put a link in the chat for that as well. You can also share your story. So if you're feeling comfortable, you can share your experience of suicide loss with others to help them cope with the grief that they're experiencing. You can also just connect with others. So talking with other fellow survivors can be really therapeutic, offer support to one another, and then receive support for those who have those shared similar experiences. Looking at some different resource options. So take advantage of all the resources and materials that are provided by different area foundations and organizations. We at Namiwood County, we have a wide variety of different resources, including actually booklets that we get from Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation. So if you are looking for that, you can contact our office. We can get you connected with that as well. This is also really helpful for the grieving process. You can also spread awareness. So raise awareness about suicide prevention, the importance of providing support to survivors of suicide loss. And then lastly, you can honor your loved one. So just find meaningful ways to remember the individual that you've lost, that you're grieving. This can be creating a small memorial or participating in a remembrance event. So like I said, I'll put the link in the comments from the American Foundation Suicide Prevention. You can learn a little bit more about this day, and I'll add some other resources in the chat as well if you're interested in learning more or getting some information from us. So that's all from me. Back to you, Jessica.
Thanks so much, Courtney. I really appreciate you talking about that. And if you're interested in any of those grief booklets or any of the other efforts, feel free to call our office and ask for me. And I won't put that burden on Courtney because she's getting ready to, hop out of the office for a little bit. So thanks, Courtney, for sharing. Next up, we are going to talk about Stress Awareness Day. And today's been a little stressful. I wasn't that stressed until I hopped into this Facebook Live and I realized it had been live for about 30 seconds before we started. So I'm going to bring Amanda on the stage. There you are. And you're going to talk a little bit about Stress Awareness Day.
Yeah.
So they got to watch us handle, watch me handle my stress. Before we talk a little bit more about stress awareness, though, um, the holidays can be pretty stressful,
For sure.
and that's part of what we're talking about today. And so I wanted to know, before the holidays start, what are some things that you do for yourself or your home or your household to help prepare you for the holidays?
So one thing that I like to do is I like to get my holiday shopping done early. So
Okay.
then I usually try and have it done by Thanksgiving. This year that's not going to happen, but
Okay.
um, so then I don't have to do the hustle and bustle of all of the shops and crowds and stuff like that. That's not something that I really enjoy.
I like that. It's such a good idea. Well, thank you for sharing with us,
Yeah.
Amanda. And we've shared a couple of really cool tips. So I hope folks are getting something out of that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll talk about National Stress Awareness Day. So this was started by the International Stress Management Association. So this year it is celebrated tomorrow on November 6th. Its goal is to increase public awareness and help people recognize, manage, and reduce stress in their personal and professional lives. So when stress starts interfering with your ability to live a normal life, for an extended period, it can become dangerous. The longer the stress lasts, the worse it is for both your mind and body. You may feel fatigued, unable to concentrate, or irritable for no good reason, for example. But chronic stress causes wear and tear on your body too. The long-term activation of the stress response system and the overexposure to cortisol and other stress hormones that comes with it can disrupt almost all of your body's processes. This can put you at increased risk for a variety of physical and mental health problems, including anxiety, depression, digestive issues, headaches, muscle tension, pain, heart disease, heart attack, high blood pressure, stroke, sleep problems, weight gain, and memory and concentration impairment. Phew, that's a lot. The good news is that there are many things that you can do to manage your stress, including exercising. So even if it's just walking for 5 minutes outside, also getting enough sleep is important, and making time for enjoyable activities. So on November 6th, make sure to take some time out of your day to unwind, embrace peace, and show some kindness to yourself. Back to you, Jessica.
Thank you so much for talking about stress awareness, Amanda. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. Last but not least, Sherry's going to talk a little bit about self care and how to cope with stress and what that looks like. Before
Yep.
she talks about that, I'm going to ask her the same question: is how do you prepare for the holidays for yourself? And because it is a pretty stressful season
It
for everybody.
is. Um, I enjoy putting Christmas decorations up and my tree. This year it's going to be a little different because I have a little baby kitten that probably will destroy everything that I put up. But I have a lot of things that I've already purchased for Christmas. Like Amanda, I'm I'm ahead of the game this time, which is nice. So we just
That
have
is
to figure out how to do a kitten-proof holiday.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you. I look forward to hearing some of your.
Sure. Self care, stress. Everybody gets stressed out. There's several things that you can do to take care of that stress. Physical, obviously, just move your body, even if it's a little bit. A walk in the morning. Nothing. You don't have to work out for 2 hours a day. Just move your body. And healthy diet. Choose a healthy day. Whether that is eating a bunch of fresh fruits and vegetables, or maybe drinking more water that day, or even take the day to call and make an appointment with your personal care physician. Sleep is very important. It's suggested that we sleep 7 to 9 hours a night, so that we can reset our minds. I know some of us are happier at 5 hours, but just get that rest so that you can reset your mind. There's a lot of relaxation techniques that we can do. We can do some meditation, deep breathing, yoga, and Tai Chi. And we have to stay social, stay with positive people, and spend time outside, enjoy the nature. We have a wrap coming up. It's Wellness Recovery Action Plan, and we will be doing that this Thursday and Friday. And some of the things that we talk about is self-care and what we can do to alleviate the stress in our life. The first thing you need to do is probably identify what does stress you out and go over that, and then make a little plan on how to combat that stress that creeps up on you. But the biggest thing is to challenge those negative thoughts. Sometimes journaling, I like to journaling what stresses me out or any of the negative thoughts, and then turn those around to positive ones, or try and think of an opposite thought of that negative thought that you have going on. But at any cost, when things are stressing you out and you're driving down the car, take deep breaths. You can do a breathing in and breathing out. As you're breathing out, just talk the negative stuff right out. But that's it. Back to you, Jessica.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it takes a little over 2.5 positives for every negative to combat that negative.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So that can be helpful, is bringing up 3 negatives for every positive. So I'm going to bring everybody back on the stage, and we are going to celebrate November and the elections being over tonight. And hopefully those political ads will start going away, right?
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Have a good afternoon.